Hey everybody, welcome to a fresh training report here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. We're going to do it a little differently today. I've brought in some cavalry. I've got Nick from the cheer squad. Hello, my friend.
Hi, brother. All right.
All good, mate. All good. It was a rainy day today.
Was plenty of us too. Big turnout from the Baggers Army, braving the elements today, and well worth a few drops of rain to go and see the Blue Boys in action. It was very, very good to see.
Just a reminder about what Melbourne really is all about. I mean, I say it all the time. Without the footy, Melbourne's not the same.
100% agree.
Yeah.
And it was the little things. Like, not only was there a big crowd on a Wednesday wet morning, I should say, going and watching them train, but like you take for granted, like the smallest things. It's the camaraderie. It's the Carlton people saying hello to each other that you haven't seen since the last time you've seen them. You're all crying together at the Collingwood game last year, or you haven't seen them for a long, long time, several months, and bang, like you start afresh, the new season, new year, and everyone's happy again. And the little things like that, you just realise how much you take for granted, all that camaraderie and that community of the Baggers.
100%. It is special. I remember I went to the last few, and you're right. It's like we're not blood family, but we're very close. We have a very close connection.
100%. Yeah, I put a thing yesterday saying I'm going to be on Twitter, and if anyone, I'm going to be going to training, I'll put that on Twitter. And I said, look, if anyone ever haven't met you yet and we follow each other, hey, come say g'day. And like I had, Chris came up, so shout out to Chris, but, I had a few people who I haven't ever met before, but only through the Carlton circles do we know of each other. And people who don't even know each other coming up and saying g'day at training and that sort of thing. I just love that. That makes me really froth the footy and really keen to see it back.
100%. Well, let's get into it. Let's start wherever your mind goes. What did you notice at the top of your head?
Top of my head, what I noticed was a few of these boys. I'm not going to talk about the standard of training. It's a bit of a very low intensity hit out or anything like that. But what I did notice first off the bat was a few of the younger Brigade really putting on some good size and looking in incredible nick. The people that really jump out are guys like Jack Carroll, Corey Durden looked in amazing shape, and so did Adam Chera. They're the three, particularly in my mind, that jump out. But the young fellas we all just drafted, all of them, the boy Cowan's got a monster frame on him, and once he properly fills out, he'll be a very, very good specimen physically. But yeah, just like as a general rule, I think a lot of fans there were really worried, and there's a lot of talk about Carlton's injuries at the moment and all this sort of stuff. So seeing a few of them in really, really good nick kind of eases your mind and kind of makes you relax a bit and kind of saying, well, someone might be a bit hurt, but we've got plenty of people on that park willing and capable to step up and, if needed, fill any voids that might be there. But as a group, they're looking pretty schmick, I got to say.
I mean, they're pushing themselves to their limits in preseason. So naturally, you're going to get some form of injury, whether it's at AFL level or even at local footy. There's always these types of niggles in the preseason. So I'm not too worried just yet about it. But, we are a sensitive bunch. We care a lot. So whenever the news breaks, there's always a bit of emotion that flies out. I mean, I think this week we were told Cottrell, obviously with the foot, like this, I guess Jordan Boyd as well. So were there any other notables that weren't there or anything like that?
Lewis Young wasn't there. So I heard from somebody yesterday, and then that made us start a few little rumours around going about Lewis Young was spotted in a moon boot yesterday, which is Tuesday. He wasn't at training. He wasn't there, but the club have said, look, it's only a rolled ankle or something. He's fine. It was only precaution. He's okay. So set your mind, for the most part, set your mind at ease for that one. Jacob Wiedering was an absentee, but thanks to Jono, Barack, who's let us know he spoke to the P team at the club and he is good as gold and nothing is wrong at all. So before some rumours started about Weeders, he's fine. He had something on, whatever the case was. He just wasn't at training today. There's nothing wrong there. We literally, the first thing I did when I got there was do a head count, and when I realised Weeders wasn't there, my heart may have skipped a beat or two for a second. I thought, if he and Lewis Young are out, and we're in strife. But no, he's good as gold. He's fine. A few of the guys doing lighter programs. Walsh, now, what was it, 4 weeks ago he had his back surgery. It was around the time. He's there doing laps. And
He's running already?
Look, we'll call it 2/3 pace, 3/4 pace sort of thing. He was just, he was jogs, and it was only a couple of laps. So I'm sure that certain, what now news has got out that while she was at training, the natural reaction for 50% of the Carlton community is to say, well, why are we pushing him too much? Will it only make him break down again? And the other 50% would be saying, well, holy hell, he's fine. He's good as gold. Nothing to see here. Nothing's wrong. He only did a couple of laps. So let's put it in perspective. He only did a couple of laps and then did about 15 minutes worth of drills with one of the trainers or one of the assistants. And then he went inside for whatever his modified program is. But there was just no holding that man back. He doesn't know how to stop. He doesn't know how to go at half pace and half intensity. Talking about pushing themselves to the limit. There's a kid who, he's not a kid, he's a young man now, but there's a fella who his standards and the professionalism he goes about, his fitness and his football in general is just first class. So players like that, you almost have to rein them in a little bit at times. But he's just a sight for sore eyes seeing him doing laps. Lockie Fogarty was doing laps on a modified training. Cunningham was kind of by himself, but he does exist for those out there. Dave Cunningham actually does exist. True enough, he actually exists. He lives. But he was doing a modified thing, did a couple of laps, a few set shots, a few little, again, fitness drills. So they're obviously easing him back in. Other than that, a few guys kind of, look, it was very modified and very low intensity, so you don't know whether to think anything into it. But Matt Kennedy went off halfway through the training session and just went inside. He was doing something modified himself. Could be anything. Pitnet and McGovern were doing laps together, but I don't think that they were necessarily part of the drill that they were doing the next thing. So the only real insight you could really get in terms of positions and all that sort of thing was they did a bit of a scratch match kind of between the arcs, and a few guys in notable positions I thought was really telling. Notably for me, Brodie Kemp was training as a tall defender. He was standing side by side with Charlie in that little match sim they did. So last year he started forward, then moved back and kind of was, I feel his preparation was really interrupted by the injuries we had. He couldn't really get a solid run in one position. And it seems that they've settled on him as a defender, and that's the place, if he's going to get a game, that's where it's going to be. So that was pretty interesting one, that one. The other one I thought was Matt Owies. Now, Matt Owies was, for a certain time, kind of, I wouldn't say with the midfield group or anything, but a very, very high half-forward sort of role he was looking at there. So, yeah, I don't know whether that's something they're going to be going into, or whether it was just the numbers in that drill and just where he found himself. But, yeah, he would kind of found himself a lot more up the ground rather than a small crumbing forward and pressure forward. But they're looking in pretty good nick. And, I mean, it's just there's guys like Cripps, Doherty, Ed Curnow, the usual suspects setting the tone. I mean, even it's not the highest intensity thing they're doing, but those three don't know any other way than going 100% and vocal, loud. Every single thing is, demanding of their teammates in every drill, go your hardest, do your best. And that's really telling that they're our leaders. And the standards were set from the moment they walked out on that park. That's how guys like that become part of leadership groups, because they're just built differently.
Yeah. Was George Hewitt out there? Like, I'm just gonna
George Stewart was out there. Yep, definitely.
Really?
And for the most part, and did everything everyone else did. So I think the only ones missing were Young, Cottrell, Boyd, and Wiedering. I didn't personally see Jack Martin, but others told me they saw him as part of the group, so he's fine. He's part of it.
Zach Williams?
But Zach Williams took part in everything, did everything, and looked all right too, I've got to say.
He's my one to really ramp it up this year. I think this is the year of Zach.
The way he finished 2022 was pretty damn good. I thought those last couple of games he was amongst our best. Almost won us the game in a few of them.
Yeah.
The other one who really, the young fellow we drafted, Harry Lemmy, the tall forward, he is huge.
Really?
Oh, and look, broad shoulders. You got to fill out the frame and all that sort of thing. But he is a monster, and seems to use it. He's a big kick on him and everything. But if he can actually play the physical part, it's not a worry for him. He's his side of the house. But I know that this time last year, when they start doing your draft rankings and that sort of thing, he started right in the mix of the top 10 or whatever around that mark, and for whatever reason had a crappy 2022 and plummeted down the draft order, and Carlton have come in and said, well, we reckon there was something there worth looking at, so we'll take him with pick 60, 70, whatever it was we took him with. But whatever it was they identified, physically you can see it. He's a huge specimen. He's a monster. So I'm hopeful, and look, he'll get a couple of years in the VFL. I don't think there's anyone expecting him to take Harry Mackay or Charlie Curnow or Jack Silvani's spot in the forward line. So he'll get a bit of time in the VFL to develop, and I think that's a good thing for him. Not a lot of pressure, just ease in, no pressure kid, to show us what you can do, and he's one I'll be keeping my eye on. I reckon he looked all right.
Love it. Awesome. Well, mate, appreciate the update. For those of us that couldn't be there, were there any other notable things, thoughts, musings from the day?
Lucky Playman's got a beard. That looked weird.
Okay.
No.
That's actually that's a good move. That's a good move by him.
He's very he's usually very clean cut and very very, very beautiful man and all this sort of stuff. He came out with his big rugged summer beard. He's gone caveman over the summer. But look, the other one for me, noticeably, I really liked what I saw from Blake Acres.
I had a few messages about him.
Yeah, look, he's a good player. I've liked watching him at both the Saints and Freo before now. But again, vocal for a new fella. He was really vocal and happy to be giving advice on the track. I saw him at a few different times. He was with both, I think it was Owies. I saw him with Binns. I saw him with Hollands, and wasn't afraid to speak up and give advice and positional stuff. And rather than trying to kick that on your left, how about you give the first option was the handball before that? And really, really, he's probably played 150 games elsewhere, hasn't he? So again, a leader. I really like seeing that, and I want those young fellas, Binns and Hollands and Owies as well was one of them, but those younger guys to just sit under that learning tree from all these leaders and just absorb, because I really, really like seeing that again on a low intensity wet Wednesday. There's no low intensity for some of these guys. So I think we've picked up a decent player there, and I think Carlton fans can hopefully we can peg him down for one of our wings that we've been so desperately lacking for the last few years. And he might not be the answer to the problems, but he can certainly go a long way to answering a few of them.
Yeah. It's very early in the preseason, but I'm curious to pick your mind. Who's in your mind going to have that breakout year, or is it too early to tell?
Based on what I saw physically, Adam Cerra's in immaculate condition. And especially if Walshy's going to miss the start of the year, well then, Cerra's got to stand up. So he's one for me. I'm a massive, and I know you are too, a massive Corey Durden fan. And I think I think his pressure's fantastic. I think his field kicking and all that sort of stuff is incredible. We all just want him to hit the scoreboard a little bit more. I think that I don't know what the mix will look from week to week, whether it's him and Owies or him and Motlop or all three of them or three of them plus Silvani or whatever it looks like up forward. That will be a real fluid thing, I'm sure, throughout the year. But I really think that he's another one who's just got X factor in spades, and we might be seeing players like him start to impact games and might be the difference in a few of them. He's got a real special talent. And, he's put on a few kilos, which I think is one of the things that was really needing for him. Both he and Motlop, especially at the end of the year, kind of got pushed off the ball a little at times. But, I think if he can kind of put on a tiny bit of weight and possibly improve the endurance a little bit more so we can see run out games at that same speed, then we've got a real footballer on our hands. So, Chera and Durden are the two for me that I'll be looking out for, especially given the opportunities I think both will be given early in the season.
Love it. Now, this year, well, every year, the Cheer Squad do a tipping comp. So why don't we talk about that? What's the story this year with the tipping competition?
Yeah, Cheer Squad's got a tipping comp, so we're back again for this year. So last year, we were inspired to give away the same prize that the winner gets. If all you have to do is finish in the top 3 in our tipping competition and you win. So there's a team-signed Guernsey for the first 3 winners. So if you finish in the top 3, you win a team-signed Guernsey. So all the details are on the Cheer Squad's social media sites. I think, Terry, we said we're going to put a link in the comments or something here for this.
Link in the
down
description
below. So $25 to enter, and it's run by the Cheer Squad. All money goes to the Cheer Squad, helping us buy supplies for flags, banners, materials. We've got a few special things coming up, which we can. I can't mention it first, but let's just say round 1 is going to be huge, and not only a significant moment for the Carlton Football Club, but a significant moment for the AFL. Jack Silvani becomes a 100 gamer, and that will be the first 3 generations of 100 games ever in VFL AFL football.
Wow. And
we think that's worth marking an occasion. So Cheer Squad will be doing something very, very special for that. So keep an eye out on social media for that. So the money we raise through things like tipping will go toward making special events like that happen. So $25 to enter. We'd love everyone's support to do so. So all the money goes toward that. But Terry's going to be joining us, so feel free to bid.
I'm terrible, but I'm playing anyway.
I'm that guy that talks myself up all the time, and then just I'll finish like 38th out of 50 or something like that. But my problem is we were terrible for a long time, but I never tip Carlton. This is my little thing. I'd rather tip against us and be wrong than get my hopes up and be wrong. And so now Carlton's starting to turn the corner a little bit. That's screwing my tipping even more, but I might have to start reconsidering that. But we'd love everyone's support. $25 to enter, and all the money helps go towards the Cheer Squad doing what we do and getting around the Carlton Football Club as best we can.
100%. No, you guys do an incredible job of just building a rule. Well, first of all, a safe space at the football. You guys are bloody rowdy down there as well, and you do so much more. It's more than football, so we really appreciate what you do. Those watching, $25, hit the link in the description, join the tipping comp, get amongst it. How many participants do we have, like a target? Can we aim for something?
Last year we had 141, so at the moment it's already going bonkers. At the moment we're already on about 100 so far this year. So let's tentatively set 150 as our target, but to be completely honest, I think we'll smash that. And don't let that, and let's be really, really honest, don't let that discourage you thinking, there's a lot of people in that competition, I don't want to enter it. If you're anything like me, by about round 8, you've forgotten your tips and you forget to put them in each week anyway. A lot of people do that. We're going to try and send reminders out so people don't forget. But getting amongst it is half the fun a lot of this time. And if you are one of the people who takes this sort of thing seriously, there's 3 signed Guernseys, not just 1 up for grabs. So, get amongst it, get around it.
Awesome. Love it. Nick, thanks so much for joining, mate. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Des. Appreciate it, brother. All the best, and go the Blues.
Go Blues.